it's not that I'm surprised. I'm just still pissed off. Obviously, we were expecting the microtransactions to come back into Battlefront 2 at some point. They already said that. Doesn't make it any easier to stomach to have it confirmed again to us. Microtransactions will return in the next few months. Well, whoopee. I mean, in all honesty, I expected them to come back earlier than that. I was expecting January, February, maybe. But no, maybe halfway through the year. Star Wars Battlefront 2 has missed its sales expectations. You know that thing where people complain about microtransaction driven loot boxes, kind of like I do, and then other people come out and say, well, vote with your wallet. If you don't like it, stop buying the game. In this case, at least, that's exactly what's happened. So many people were irritated by this. This particular news report is on IGN, and this is when I think it's EA told everybody that they'd sold 9 million copies. And I think, don't quote me on this, but I think I'm right in saying that that's both physical and digital. They were expecting 10 million and they said they sold 9 million. That number's actually not right. It's been confirmed that it's actually 7 million. So it's actually worse than they initially said. I'm sorry. I'm just going to go out and say it. I'm delighted, frankly. I mean, I have some sympathy for the individual workers at EA that have to obviously put the time and effort into making things like this and, you know, get paid for doing so quite reasonably. That's a reasonable thing to do. I mean, be paid for the work you do. But beyond that, I couldn't be happier at the fact that EA has been kicked in the teeth like this. It's just so rare. It's so rare for people to actually vote with their wallet. I mean, I didn't because I bought the game for a review. But it's still pretty good to watch, is all this. He said that they'll do it when we think it's ready, and they're blaming it obviously on the controversy surrounding the loot boxes, which is not surprising. Certain countries, the UK, New Zealand, have been looking into loot boxes, of course, to see whether they constitute gambling. Here in the UK, at least, the Gambling Commission here, they haven't exactly made a decision somewhat. If you read it, basically the Gambling Commission's argument is that because the reward from the loot boxes cannot be cashed in, cannot be exchanged for money, it is unlikely to be caught as a licensable gambling activity. In those cases, our legal powers would not allow us to step in. They're not exactly saying that loot boxes are not gambling. They're just sort of hypothetically saying that if this was actually put to the test, it will be unlikely to be classified as gambling. So they obviously have to adhere to the strict letter of the law. They have to do that. And it's hard. It is, in all honesty, hard to see how they could say anything else, because if you start classifying things as loot boxes as gambling, you start to get into the realm of, well, where do you draw the line? Do you draw the line at the school fairs? The school fairs prize giving. Oh yeah, and while I'm thinking about it, the UK has already said that loot boxes are not gambling. New Zealand has as well. And of course, this news story is all about the Pink Darth Vader mod that's been created by a modder who goes by the name of Destoch, or however you pronounce that, I've no idea. You need the Frosty mod manager to install it, and it only changes his appearance. And EA have said as long as you modify the appearance and not the gameplay itself, you're fine. But this is obviously in response to when Blake Jorgensen said, yeah, Pink Darth Vader, people don't want that. As if. Not to mention, you probably don't want Darth Vader in pink. No offence to pink, but I don't think that's right in the canon. Technically he's right, but it's a video game and PC users mod like hell. I mean, I don't game on PC and even I know that. I know that they really don't like it when you put DRM on a game and stop you from changing things up. You always have to be online to register it or whatever other bullshit they put in. DRM is cracked like the day before it releases nowadays anyway. EA has sped up progression in Battlefront 2 even more. You remember they had to reduce the cost of the heroes by 75% because they were that expensive to get a hold of. Not in terms of money necessarily, although that was originally probably the point. But yeah, before you needed to play the game for a certain length of time. You played it for a certain length of time, you got a certain number of credits. Your progression was tied to for how long you played the game rather than how well you did. And Jesus Christ, I played the game and in my video review for this game, I literally just stood my character still for an entire match. For the whole goddamn match. And I still got full credit at the end of it. The game made no attempt to kick me or anything. And I still got all of the points, all the salvage or whatever it's called, out at the end. I would have thought it would at least kick you for inactivity, but no, it doesn't. Doesn't say anything about this here, but it does say that now the top players on the team will benefit more from being the top players, rather than you just being tied to the amount of time you play in the game. Now you can earn a little bit extra, which is the way it should have been in the first place. And as I say, I shouldn't have been rewarded for standing still for however long it was in the match. I got some points because someone else completed some objective as I was on that team, but I did nothing. Literally, I didn't even move. I didn't even budge an inch. The arcade mode, that was originally limited, apparently, I can't remember off the top of my head, but 500 credits per day. So that was so you couldn't farm them, because the arcade levels were like, they took a minute to finish each. So you could just farm credits, except they limited you to 500. Why bother giving you credits if you're going to limit play? Anyway, the cap has gone up to 1500. And finally, the amount of crafting parts you earn from daily logging crates. It used to be a pitiful amount. It says here that it's been increased. I don't know what to. But crafting parts, your salvage, as I keep on calling it, that's used to make or upgrade star cards and things like that. So, yeah, they're trying to speed up the progression because people complained so much about it. And little wonder. And finally, Respawn's Star Wars game is apparently going to be released in 2020. Assuming that they last that long, because EA bought them out, and now basically Respawn is a collection of dead men walking, or dead women walking. I'm presuming there's women in there as well. Dead person walking? I don't know. Whatever. I think it's safe to say that EA is going to shut Respawn down at some point, either before the game comes out or shortly afterwards. I wouldn't want to put a bet on that, but you know, given big companies' track records for buying out smaller companies and then closing them down, it's gonna happen. And also, EA are unsure when Battlefront 3 will be released. I really don't give a shit at this point. I really don't. I didn't play the original EA version of Battlefront, but I read a lot of reviews for it, and the consensus was that there was a lot of things. Basically, the fans went, "This is what you did wrong. This is what you do to do it right." And EA did some of that, but not everything. They missed out quite a bit. The Galactic Conquest mode was missing. They did space battles. And in my opinion, a lot of the game modes were very repetitive, all variations on rush mode, no conquest mode, which is probably why Galactic Conquest wasn't there. But Battlefront 2, I just feel like EA has just burned all its points with me for now. Everybody told them how to do Battlefront 2 after they screwed up Battlefront 1. I can understand why they might screw up Battlefront 1. But how did they get it wrong twice after being told what they did wrong? You know what I mean? I'm just not interested in Battlefront 3. They're going to fuck it up again. They just are. I'm not interested. And on a side note, even before all this happened, I wasn't really that interested in Anthem, to be honest. You know that thing a while back where all of a sudden everything was a zombie game? It feels to me like all of a sudden everything's a sci-fi shooter now. I looked at Anthem and, as I say, even before all this bloody controversy kicked up, I thought, really, another space shooter? Do I need another one? Anyway, so that's all EA loot box microtransaction Battlefront related news. Thought I'd do it all in one go. Yeah. But yes, I'm actually quite pleased that EA has had to back off on some stuff, even though they're putting the fucking microtransactions back in. Yeah, whatever. But I'm amazed that even any of this got into the mainstream media. Normally it's only the gaming media that pays any attention to this kind of thing. But no, even mainstream media picked up on this. It was that big a deal. Unless this kind of thing continues to happen where developers put microtransactions in and then everybody goes completely nuts, goes completely apeshit over it, which I don't think it will. I mean, Star Wars is a bit of a special case, you know what I mean? But if that doesn't happen, then microtransaction-driven loot boxes will just continue to appear in games and developers will keep on doing it, and most other developers will consider this to be something that they managed to dodge, and EA will continue onwards regardless, even though that's pretty much what they're saying they're doing right now. They're continuing on regardless. Yeah. Oh well. At least they got a kick in the teeth, eh?